Hello, good evening everyone. Thanks for joining me on another video here for my Patreon channel, which you can subscribe for as little as $3 per month, or more if you want. Today, as I was practicing here earlier, the diminished scale. I want to talk about the diminished scale. I don't know what I'm going to talk about it. I have a few ideas. So that's the sound of the diminished scale. So if you're playing a C dominant chord, you start on C, you go up a half step, then a whole step, half step, 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 whole step, until the end of times. Oh, so what is the, okay, that's how you apply, I'm jumping the gun a little bit, that's how you apply that scale over a dominant chord. That's what I want to talk about today. It's about applying the diminished scale over a dominant chord. So there's a lot of confusion. What's the whole half or the... So over a C diminished chord, what do you play? You could play this, which is a diminished arpeggio, which you hear like the heavy metal shredders, they do, like, because it sounds fancy, you know. You start on C, so that's the diminished arpeggio, which is just minor thirds. However, the diminished scale for a C diminished chord, what is it? It's C, and then a whole step, and then a half step, and then a whole step, and a half step. The sound goes pretty well with it, right? So I'm already doing a little bit of what my main idea for today, just how to use the diminished scale the same way that you use the major scale, which hopefully will be not just playing patterns, like trying to find interesting melodies within the diminished scale, either on a diminished or in a dominant context. So I already showed what it's like on a C diminished scale or a C dominant diminished scale. That's a nickname for that when you play a C7 and then you play C, whole step, half, nope, C, half step, whole step, half, whole, half. Here's the thing, it's a symmetric scale, so there are things that repeat, right? If you play this shape, mostly everything that you play on the diminished scale, you can play the same thing up or down a minor third, and it's gonna work. So that's it. Right? It's one of those interesting cases that you play the same shape, or if you're playing another instrument, the same notes, and then you just Control C, Control V, and transpose in minor thirds. So, which create those, there are many patterns, because it's a symmetric scale, it's easier to apply patterns. So that's something that I think it's a great beginning point to just play, and I already played a few. I mean, there's some classics, like John Coltrane played this one a lot. A lot of people play this pattern a lot. There's like a Coltrane in the mid to late 50s, playing with the Miles Davis Quintet. You can hear him doing this type of sound, a lot faster and a lot cleaner. But he's used on the album Milestones, for example. I think it's 1957 or 58. There's a lot of that sound going on. And that's something that's cool. Michael Brecker. Gee, Michael Brecker played those patterns like a lot and very beautifully. What is that? You basically just going, you're playing the scale in two different ways at the same time. When I play, it's gonna make more sense. So you're playing this. Keep that in mind. But there's a call and response going on, right? So I'm not. I can't sing. The first one is starting here on the E flat, the sharp 9, I guess, thinking of a C7. So, but and then you respond, and then you just run the same rhythm, inserting as a response to the other zone. Right? So at one the higher thing is literally just running the scale down with a little rhythm. And the response is same thing, run the scale down with the same rhythm, but start in a different place together. Okay, so that's a pattern. Let's see that to apply that scale. I'm doing the example here in C7 because I want to talk about the tune Caravan, which is a great vehicle for this type of sound. So what are the chords that go, or the scale? The scale goes very well with this. Like just it's not if you play a C7 with a 9, for example, a natural 9, that's not the type of sound that really, I mean, maybe it will, but you know, it's a little like a stretch. You can do whatever you want. But if you play on a sharp 9 or flat 9, which could also fit the altered scale, right? But in order to apply to like the sound that really goes like well without question, that you're playing basically the same notes. It's when you play a dominant chord, and you can add the flat 9 or the sharp 9. But the thing that makes the deal breaker here is the natural 13. Natural 13 with the weird 9. So those shapes. And also the perfect fit. That also is also a deal breaker, because on the altered scale you don't have the 5 is altered, so it's not perfect. Like it's perfect fit. Then so this type of sound, right? Then there are many and all the shape, the beauty, it's good, and then like those shapes can be repeated as well if you're playing a C7, and then you find the shape they're like, oh, cool, what is that? You playing the major 3rd, the minor 7, you playing the flat 9, and you playing the 13, right? So this shape is gonna work here as well. A minor 3rd up, minor 3rd up. That's something that I think you should be careful with, because it gets to be, if you do that every time, like every time you get it gets pretty corny, and you see that like it's pretty common. Because it's exciting, right? Like you're doing so many sounds without really thinking too much. Who doesn't love that? You don't think much and you impress people. Cool, but it gets a little old after. That's what I'm trying to say. After, if you do that every time, just use it with moderation. So that's already, that could end here. But I want to talk about, try to follow what I said first. To talk about ideas to be melodic with this scale, to find melodies without only playing patterns. And I thought I already showed the Coltrane thing. That's another good one that I like. See, my fingers already go to it. All like. I should know this. I don't know. Like I need to practice one way to make it reverse as well. To make it, you know, descending. I don't know, I gotta find it later. I'm gonna show you things that I have more worked out. So, some shapes. All C7. That's another one that I like this one when I'm working on the sweep picking thing, like using the more economy picking, whatever you want to call it. So I showed you this one as well, like yeah, this the diminished scale. See, just running the scaler already sounds cool. Like. Here I'm starting. I'm doing a little turn in the beginning. That could sound cool already. I was gonna show one that Pat Metheny does a lot. A lot of people do as well, but that's the one that comes to mind first. This guy here, right? Oops. So I'm thinking of, there's this show I was talking about, Michael Brecker. So there's a Michael Brecker Pat Metheny quartet on YouTube. Christian McBride and Antonio Sanchez on drums. I see, but he doesn't even, Pat Metheny does this type of thing. Many recordings in many places, but that show, that thing was under his finger. He was doing that a lot. What else? And so Caravan, I think it's a good example because the it's a good tune to apply that, because it sits on a C7 chord for a long time. I don't know how many, but like 8, but 6 bars, right? And then the two final bars is, depending on how you're counting, maybe I'm counting too slow. But it sits C7 for a long time, and that C7 has a flat 9 on the melody. And so it has. On the melody he doesn't play it's do count in composition, or one is all do count. I don't know, do count. Let's say. On the melody he doesn't play the 13 that I said is a deal breaker, but he does play the flat 9 and the perfect 5, right? So it's really inviting to play that sound. And then you resolve. Where's that thing? So this type of chord works as well, the flat 5. Can do that on a resolution. When he lands on C, resolves pretty well. So yeah, but finally what I was going to suggest is to just play some. I'll try to make it sound. Of course, fantastic to practice all the patterns. There's this guy here as well that using fourths, especially if you do right. Needs some love, this one as well. patterns. But if you play some, like apply, I was thinking of the Art Blakey Jazz Messengers version, which is one of my favorite albums in life. It's Wayne Shorter, Freddie Hubbard, I don't know who's on bass, of course Art Blakey on drums. It's Cedar Walton and Curtis Fuller as well. And Freddie Hubbard does this crazy beautiful runs. Like applying chromatic notes too. Just the same way you use the bebop scale, you know, like instead of playing C, mixolydian, right? Add a chromatic note in there to make it sound like that. 2 octaves. So you can apply those chromatic notes on the diminished scale. So it sounds like the diminished but bebop. And here's the thing, like to try to play this find melodies within the scale, you know. Wynton Marsalis has a recording, Standards Time, the album, that he uses very deliberately the diminished scale, like very clearly. Wayne Shorter, the thing that I did here, Wayne Shorter does something more deceiving. It kind of sounds a little. He doesn't do that. He does something like that, like picking one pattern and transposes in whole steps. And it has some funny notes that don't really fit the chord, but he's Wayne Shorter. He can do anything and it's gonna work. So, okay, I think maybe there's already a couple of ideas that maybe will help you. Oh yeah, I was thinking of another pattern that you can do that it's one of those that sound impressive. Frank Gambale is one that does those type of things a lot. Like this guy. I'm out of shape, I think. It sounds pretty fancy. So you just grab this shape here. If it's a C7, you're playing this shape here that has a major third, minor 7. Who are you? The Jimi Hendrix, the sharp 5, the sharp 9, the Jimi Hendrix, but with the 13, right? So, and you can just run it. I mentioned Frank Gambale because he does a lot of the sweep picking things. But this one is kind of easy to make, and it sounds like you're doing a whole lot more than you're not doing much. Right? Okay, I think that's good. I hope that helps, and feel free to send questions. You know, maybe we can stop and work on a snippet of this improvisational thing here. I hope you enjoyed, and see you later.